Hello guys, good morning. Hope you all are doing good. Hope you all can see my screen, right? Can you guys confirm? Yes, great. So let us start the session. So let's wait. I'm actually creating the cluster. Last time I have deleted the cluster accidentally. I'm creating the session one more time and hope you all have the notes with you. So I am adding it here directly. When you double click on it, it will be able to open it. Session 1, session 2. I will add session 3 as well today. Okay, so all the sample data is here. Give me 2 minutes so that the cluster gets created. We can able to start working on that. Yes, I'm gonna go inside the cluster. I'm gonna click on the Jupyter lab. Great. So I have here the session 1 and session 2. Last time we have used, right? So I'm gonna create one more PySpark session, and I'm gonna rename it as session 3 transformations. Okay. Okay, this is our transformations, guys. We are going to be learning about transformations here. Okay, so let us start. So assume that I have a data set. Let's take a sample data set. Assume that we have this data set. Let me increase the size. Okay, assume that this is my data set. In this data set, you see here, I have like 4 records. One, ID, name, gender, salary. Okay. So what happens usually is that if we wanted to create a data frame, what we will be doing, spark dot create data frame, data is equal to employee data, schema is equal to columns, right? So you can able to see the data using the df dot show, and you can able to print the schema. Print the schema using this option, and you run it. Yes, see here. So if you look at the schema, the ID is long, and the gender is also fine, and the salary is also long, which we don't want it to have it long. We wanted it to be an integer. So if I give it to the client, he may not be able to understand the schema properly, because usually the schema could be an integer or a float value. Salary could be a float value, right? It will not be an integer. So what we wanted to do is that we wanted to create our own schema instead of depending on the schema that was read by the data frame, right? So for doing that, custom schema. Okay, so I wanted to create my custom schema. I don't want it to create the data frame like this, because when I give a data frame like this, when I use the column names properly, just by giving the column names, what is happening is that the data type is automatically taking care from the data existing, which we don't want. That we wanted to provide the schema custom, so that automatically it will pick up the schema of what we have mentioned so far. So let us try to do that. Okay, for doing that I am going to use struct field, struct type. Okay, let us see how we can able to create a data frame using this struct field and struct type. Okay, so first let us create a schema properly. The schema one, schema, custom schema. Let me say custom schema. Custom schema is equal to, so whenever you wanted to create a schema, you using the structure type and structure field. Structure type is to mention the schema, structure field is to, for that particular field, what is the data type you are going to use it. Okay, so structure type, sorry. So structure type and structure field may not be available directly in the pyspark, so we may have to import it from pyspark dot sul dot types import struct field comma struct type. Okay, so these are the things that I am importing. And if you wanted to use the integer, you can also import it later. I'm going to tell you. First we will use struct type. So to mention the schema properly, we're going to be creating a structure type. The structure type, inside the structure I will be having my structure field, right? So for each field we have to specifically mention what schema you wanted to use it. So for example, my structure field is id. Assume that the first column is id. Okay, the first column is id. I'm going to say here id. And what is the data type for this id? So for that one you can mention data type. Or you don't need to mention here like this all the time. I will tell you how you can automate it also. I'll tell you. But usually this is a best thing that you can able to easily understand. Okay, the first name is that field type, a field name as well as field type. So data type is I'm going to use integer type or string type. For now it is an integer. The ID is an integer. So I'm going to use integer. Sorry. I wanted to use integer type that may not be available directly. Integer type. Okay, so that you will be using it here. Okay, so this is how you will be using the field and data type. So for first column it is done. So likewise you have to mention the second column as well. Okay, so this is first column, I think comma. Okay, structure field name comma data type. Structure field, sorry, structure field name data type. This is how it is. Okay, data type. It's a function, right? Okay, this is how. So first one is done. I'm going to copy the first one. I'm just pasting it here. And the second column is the name. Just copy it, paste it. And the data type for the name is not integer, it is a string type. So import the string also. String type. Use that string type here. And the next one is the next column is gender. Copy it, paste it here, and it is string fine because you can see here male female, that's fine. And next one is also one more column, the final column it is its salary, I wanted it to be an integer for now. You can see here integer, or you can also import float type. Okay. If you want it to be a float type, you can also import a float type. So this is it. This is how we have to specifically mention the column name as well as data type. No, sir, I don't want it to mention the name all the time. Feel free to do that. I'm gonna see you can use like this also. You don't need to specifically mention name, comma data type. You can directly mention like this. Struct field, the name of the column, the data type of the column. Okay. Anyone have any questions? So now I will create the data frame. So I'm going to say now it is the data frame 2. Data is equal to employee data, the same data I'm taking. But the schema, I'm not taking these columns because these columns, the data type is not specifically mentioned. Now I have mentioned it clearly. You can see it here, right? I'm going to use the same schema here. The schema is equal to custom schema, right? Now you see it. Something wrong? What is that? One positional argument given. Okay. So I think we may have to use this flower bracket to mention the columns. It's a list kind of a data. So that's the reason we may have to use it. Okay. Some error. 1 minute, guys. Something wrong here. So struct type of the bracket started, the struct field name is equal to id, data type is equal to integer. Mhm. Let me give this one. Struct type. I don't think so. Some wrong here.
Backslash, I think backslash is not required, sir.
Backslash is fine. This one, right? No, this one is fine. That's not at all a problem. Just thinking what could be an issue here. Give me a minute. What is an error? Field float type cannot be accepted. Okay, that's actually same, right? So it's a very simple issue. So I'm gonna take this as an integer type and to paste it here. I think it would work. Yes. Now look at here. Integer, string, string. Earlier we want the salary is also the same thing. See here. Now that's the reason if you wanted to specifically have your own schema as well as the data type and data column names, you can change it like this. Tomorrow you don't want this ID, then you can just want it to mention as employee ID. And it's just not a name and it is an employee name. So you can specify here itself. Employee gender, right? So you can able to see here, I don't need to rename the columns properly. So all the time, whenever I wanted to create a schema I'll use own column names. So it's not that I'll be using my own columns and names and data types. So there will be a proper structure from the data modeler. What he will do is that he's gonna be preparing some kind of a schema as well as schema properly, and he's gonna be sending it to us. Or there will be a schema fields properly mentioned in some document. We have to refer it. So that is what we have to, and that's where we have to provide our schema, custom schema always. We don't actually use the auto schema, specify the schema properly. So this is good. Now I have my data frame 2, which is perfectly all right, and we have the schema properly created. Okay, so we have the data frame 2. That's good. Now what I wanted to do, sir, I wanted to create some constant column. Okay, so to create some constant column, and I was, so you can think of like this. Your client has asked you two things. So he wanted to add the country column for all of these employees. A column is a country column, and the country column for all of these employees are from India only. So we have to add a constant column. The column name is country, and the values for all the employees is India. And one more column also he has asked us to add, that is tax column. The tax column is a derived column, which the data coming from some salary, and that is 18% of the salary. Okay, so two columns we are going to add it. First, let us try to add one column. Okay, so let me try to add one column. See, whenever we wanted to add some constant column, right, I'm going to add here. So you can able to use the function called lit. Lit is a function to specify the constant values. Okay, lit is a function to specify the constant values. I am using the lit. So if you wanted to use the lit, you need to import it, right? From pyspark .sql import, sorry, from functions, right? So I'm importing the lit function, and we are going to add a column called country, employee country, and the value for all the columns is India. So because why I'm using the lit, you see here, the value for all the columns is India. So I wanted to mention lit function. Inside the lit, I'm going to mention India. That means the value for each record is going to be the India only. So now, so I wanted to create a data frame 3, that is this one, and we wanted to add data frame 1, sorry, data frame 2 dot. We are going to add a column. So if you wanted to add a column in the PySpark, you can use with the column. You can use with the column. So you can use with the column. And what is the column name you wanted to add? You can mention here. The column name is employee country. The column name is employee country, comma. The value for the employee country is it a derived column or a constant column? It's a constant column. So constant columns, the constant values we are going to specify with help of this function called lit. So you can mention inside it is India. Okay, so this is how. What I have done, sir, to the existing data frame, I am adding a one more column called employee country and creating that as a data frame 3. Right? So you can see here. Now data frame 3 dot show is equal to PySpark. Okay. So you can see here the country is added. So for all the employees, the value for the country is India. So that is how you can able to add a constant column. And if you wanted to add a derived column, you can similarly use with the column as well, again with the column, and the column name you wanted to add is tax column, employee tax paid. Okay, So the value for the column is, it's not a constant column, because if it is a constant column, I can use the lit, but it is not a constant column. What we are going to use it, sir? The value for the tax is coming from the salary. That is 18% of the salary. So what is salary column? My salary column is this one. That is DF2 dot employee salary. This is the column. But how much it is? 18%. Nothing but multiplied with 18% is nothing but what, sir? 18 by 100, nothing but a 0.18, right? And it's already a salary column is already an integer. So whatever the operations I wanted to use, some kind of aggregations, I can able to do it. So that's the reason DF2 salary multiplied with the 0.18, nothing but a 18% of the salary. So that I am assigning it to the employee task. So now you see here. See? This is what we wanted, right? So we have added a constant column as well as a derived column. So this is how, if your client has asked you if you wanted to add one more column or a constant column or a derived column tomorrow, this derived column can be a bit tricky, complex. So you have to come up with a logic how you can able to achieve it with the help of the different columns, and you have to specify it here. So this is how you can able to add it. So which function we have used to add a column? Which function, sir? With a column, right? To add a column. Okay, so this is what it is. I'm going to say this is just a country for now. Okay, so you see here, I have used with column to add a column. So if you wanted to add a constant column, use lit function. If you wanted to add a derived column, you can use directly. Now the question is, sir, you see here the problem here. Maybe you could come up with a problem like this. So where all the columns are properly structured, where employee ID, employee name, employee gender, employee salary, but the country is not employee country. It was just a country. And we don't want that. The client wanted to have it as a employee country as well. Okay, there is a name structure is not properly there for all the columns. So he asked us to have a same structure for all the columns. Likewise, for the country also, it should be employee country. And do we have any function to rename the column? So that's where we have one more function, that is with the column renamed. Okay, to rename the column. Okay, to rename the column, we can use this one. So what I will do is that, so I'll take the df4. I'm going to say df4 is equal to df3. Okay, df3 dot. I'm going to add a column. Sorry, rename a column with the column renamed, right? So with the column renamed function I'm using. Inside the function, what I will do, what is my old column, what is my new column? Okay, so my old column is country. Old column name is country. I wanted this country column name as employee country. So this is what I wanted. Now you see here, df4 dot show. Perfect, right? So if you are somewhere and if you wanted to rename your column, you can actually do it with a simple function, built-in function called with the column renamed, so that your column can able to rename it easily. So you don't need to worry about it. Okay? Yeah. Any questions, guys? All are good, right? Did not get you, sorry. Okay. That we will be seeing in our upcoming sessions, right? So it's just a basic thing. Now, see, for example, you wanted to change one of the salary, where his salary was 2,000, or I have an employee ID 2 and it's not 3000. If it is, it should be 4000, but unexpectedly it came as a 3000. How do you do that in SQL? Correct, right? So here also we can do that. But see, for example, we can in SQL, what we do, we will try to update the data. Okay, that's one way, and we can able to override the data. That's one more way. Here also we have such kind of a functions. I'll tell you how to do that. But just now we have started the transformations, right? So that's the reason I'm just going one by one. Okay, yeah. So far, any questions, guys? No, right? Okay, someone facing an issue with the notes, it seems. I have given you the link for the notes, I guess. I'm gonna give you one more time. Copy the link here, paste it in the chat. Okay. Okay. So this is how one more example. So one more is that if you can look at the data, can you guys tell me what is the problem with this employees and think like a data engineer and storage perspective and tell me what could be the problem with this employee gender? Anyone pitch in and try to tell me the answer if you can able to. Like look at the data, employee gender column the data, and think in a storage perspective and what could be a problem. Anyone? Correct. And likewise for the country also. Right. So what the client is asking is that, so you have some columns, not all the columns, maybe few columns. For example, let us just say employee gender. So when it's an employee gender, I am using the male, and today it is I have only 4 columns. That's fine, but tomorrow you may be having some millions, trillions of the data where employee gender is for male. Every time you are using the 4 letters. For female, you are using the 6 letters. So that's where it is one of the column storage is increasing. Okay, which he don't wanted to do that. Likewise for the employee country also. So he don't wanted to just use the India all the time. It is 5 letters. He can just mention IN, which is 2 letters. So that reduces the storage. So some people may think that sir, will it really reduce the storage or not? Of course, it will reduce because we are just replacing. You can think of like this. Here 4 letters, right? 4 into 1 lakh. 4 lakhs, right? So 4 lakh letter storage. And if you just maintain it with 1 into like 1 lakh only, right? So that kind of a storage may reduce. So that's the reason client don't wanted to misuse the storage. He asked us to reduce it, like wherever the mail it is, just mention it as M. Wherever it's the female it is, just mention it as F, so that users can able to easily understand. If it is M, they will be able to understand it is easily as a male, and if it is F, it's female. So that's the reason he asked us to rename this one or rename the values properly. Okay, for that one, what I'm going to use is that for this case, how do we do that in SQL? How do we do that in SQL?
Alt.
Sorry? So wherever the value male it is there, we have to replace it with the M. Wherever it is female, we have to replace it with F. So do we have such kind of a problems we have faced in SQL? And if yes, how do we have solved it there? Is it? Update is a very costly operation. conditional statements we have, right? So if you can go to SQL, we have a conditional statement. If you remember, what is a conditional statement, sir? So whenever, for example, you can see here case statements. So whenever this one, see, you can see here, whenever the case department is okay, when the department is 50, then salary is 1.5 salary. When the department is 12, the salary is 2.2 into salary. So you can just mention like this, right? So you can mention your condition here. Now like this, when the gender is equal to male, I would say then it's M. When the gender is equal to female, then I would say it is F. And in all other cases, I'm going to say employee gender. Okay, so this way we can mention it. I'm going to do the same thing in the pyspark also. You can see here. So if I have to use it here, we have a when keyword. Likewise, we have also a when keyword in pyspark also. I'm going to import that functions import when. Now I wanted to create a data frame 5 is equals to data frame 4 dot select. I'm going to use the select. See, before that, I'm going to tell you about the select function. See here what the select is using. For example, whenever you wanted to specify few number of columns, you can able to mention that in the select statement, right? So in the SQL also, it will be doing the same purpose. So if you wanted to mention all the columns, you will be using select star. And if you wanted to specifying only few number of columns, you can actually use the select. For example, now you see here, DF4, I don't want it to. If I just mention, so all the columns will be taken care. But I don't want that. I wanted to specifically taken only few columns. For example, assume like this. Okay. You can see here. Okay. And if you mention df5 dot show, only 3 columns will be shown. Select is a statement where you can functions, sorry. See here. Now the data frame 5 is only having 5 columns. Okay, so that means select is a statement whenever you wanted to write some kind of a aggregation or some transformation logic inside that select, you can mention it. And whenever you wanted to mention some ranking functions inside that, whenever you wanted to mention some case conditions, you will be mentioning those inside it, right? So that's the reason select is to specify the number of columns, and to specify if you wanted to do some kind of a case conditions, whatever the operations you wanted to do some transformations, you can actually do it here. So for that purpose, my requirement is not to show only these columns. My requirement is to specify the employee gender values properly. For that one, I'm going to use here. Okay, you can see here. So employee gender. Now the employee gender is not these values. I wanted to change it. For that one, I'm going to use when here. When employee gender is equal to male, and employee gender is equal to male, then the value should be M. Okay, so this is what is one slash, or you can just mention otherwise, or you can mention one more also. When employee gender is female, employee gender is female, you can just mention F, and you can mention now otherwise. Else, right? Else or otherwise, both are same. Okay. Now I'm going to use otherwise. Otherwise, sorry. Otherwise, you can use which value? For if it is not male or if it is not female, you can just say unknown. You means unknown. Okay, and you wanted to alias this column, alias as means alias, nothing but a employee gender only. It's the same column name I'm giving as. Okay, so this is how I had come up with. Okay, okay, now it is good. Comma. So this is for the entire employee gender column only. And you have employee ID, employee name, employee gender, and finally all other columns also there, right? Employee salary. Yo. Employee salary, employee country, employee tax. Remove this bracket here, keep it here. Okay, so this is how you see here. Employee ID name is fine, same, no calculations. Employee name, no calculations. But employee gender, if it is male, when employee gender is male, the value is this one. When the employee gender is female, the value is this one. For all other cases, the value is unknown. And alias gender column, employee salary, employee country, employee this one. So now you can able to use it like this and enter. Somewhere there's some problem. Invalid syntax. When okay, I think it is not this equal to, it's an assigning operator. I think this is good now. Okay, still no. Something wrong, guys. Not sure why. Let me see. Not sure. So you have employee ID, employee name, employee salary. That's fine. There is some problem with the when. So what is this when? And that's fine. That's not at all a problem. Male, female. It could be a reason that it is may not be able to understand the column names. So what I will do is that this I'm going to say day of 4 dot I will check employee gender, so that for all other columns also it would be easy. It would be important for us to understand the specify the proper column names, because when I mentioned df4 dot employee gender, the readability will be high. Okay, because here also I have mentioned employee gender, here also it may not be able to get it. That could be a reason. So let's try it out, this one. Still employee gender. Okay, I think it's when dot. Okay, here also, here it should not be there. Dot when dot otherwise. I think this is good, right? So we have, you can see here case conditions properly. So with the help of the when and otherwise, we have achieved whatever we wanted to do it. So for example, if the male is there, we wanted it as a mem, and if it is a female, we wanted it as a f. Okay, you can see here. If for example tomorrow, okay, tomorrow it could be one more, and if I have to do it, I may have to go to very longer path. So I don't want that. So this is how it is. For example, if you have any other case conditions, tomorrow it is employee salary. If the employee salary is less than 3,000 is this category, more than this 3,000 is this category. If you wanted to specify all of those things, you can able to easily specify it using these case conditions. So you have the case conditions in SQL, and here also you have the same conditions here. right? So this is also one more way. Okay, if it is for the employee country, if it is for the employee salary, and if it is from the employee gender or anything, whatever you wanted to do it, you can also mention it. Okay. Yeah. Any questions on this one, guys?
Sir, one question.
Yeah. Yes.
Like, if we are amending any data, like in the first row, there could be some changes in the employee name or salary. How to insert new record and what will happen the old record?
No, 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 no. Sorry, I did not get you. Sorry.
And no, if we are saying that first row, it is Anil is there, no? Anil, it is
Yeah.
getting renamed with some other name. It is
Okay.
overridden. Like
Okay.
this in ETL, what happened? This record will be getting expired and a new record will be generated.
Okay.
The same Anil record
Okay.
with some other name. So
Okay.
here, how it will happen?
No, that's the data, right? So that is your input data. See,
Input.
uh, yeah. See, for example, this is your data, and you are saying that the employee data here, the Anil was changed. So when
Yeah.
it is Anil was changed, also all of these transformation one by one will happen. Okay, that's the reason I'm giving a sequence, right? So tomorrow in the company also, the very first operation you wanted to do is schema change. You create a data frame two, and after that you wanted to add some columns. You create a one more data frame 3, and you wanted to do one more data frame 4, and that's how you come up with a better version of the code. So it is not one requirement. The client will not ask you to just do a case condition on the data and send it to you. It's not one thing. So whenever you get some kind of a CSV file or a JSON file or a Parquet file, you read the first data frame. Okay, you read the first data frame, like how you read it. So this is how you read it, and once you read it, your data frame looks like this, and your schema looks like this. And if you are okay with the schema and data, you can go. But your client may have a plenty of questions. Okay, he wanted add few columns, he wanted to rename the schema, rename the columns, plenty of the things he will be having. So for that one, you are always having such creating a one more data frame to come up with a better version of the data. So here, what you have achieved the schema, and here next data frame. So this pipeline will run tomorrow. This pipeline will run. What this pipeline? Where this pipeline is having, first it is reading the data, creating a data frame. Next it is applying this thing. Next it is applying this thing. Next this transformation is applied. Next this one. Next this one. So that at the end of your data frame, if you look at it, whatever the requirement you have got from your client, all of those things you are properly achieved, and that's where this is your final data frame. You are writing it to the some BigQuery or some other module. How do you write it? So if he is asking in a some format, or if it is asking in a BigQuery, you will be writing it to him. So that is what our intention. It is not to write one transformation and achieve it, and that's also there. But this is what it is. We always read the data from some other layer. We are not reading it from here. Maybe you are thinking that I might have taken this data, but this is for you to understand. I take a sample data. Okay, maybe I can directly take the data from some BigQuery and do it. If the BigQuery data is changed, automatically this entire data will be changed, right? So that's how. Yeah.
No, sir. I think one if Anil is getting salary 2,000 now, if it is in the future, he may get the 5,000 also. Like that row will be amended, right?
That's you are asking about what we call this as historical data management. There is one this concept in the data warehouse. What we call that a CD, slowly changing dimensions,
Yes. STC.
right?
Yeah.
So slowly
Yeah.
changing dimensions. When you talk about it, right, there are three types. So how your data warehouse is built upon. So there are SCD type 0, type 1, type
Type
2.
1, type 2. Yeah.
So when you have a SCD type 0, you overwrite it.
Yeah.
Okay, you overwrite it. So for this one, you don't need to do it here. You are
Okay.
not managing it here. This is for your CSV files, and you read the data from database. You don't need to manage it here. Sorry.
Oh.
So You don't need to manage it here. This is in the data warehouse, you have to do it. Data warehouse pipelines, ETL pipelines will take care of it. So what we
Okay.
are doing, data processing we are doing. Okay, that's different. And type one is what? Adding a one more column.
Yeah.
And here, okay, adding an entire row, extra row, amending an entire row. Okay, here, so adding an entire row actually duplicates the data. So that's the reason final version is adding a column, just a column. So old data, for example, old name, new name. So something like that they will
Yeah.
be managed. Okay, so this is type 1, type 2, type 3. These are more of a data warehousing techniques, where if you have some kind of a data, if it is changing, that's where you will be achieving it with help of the slowly changing dimension. Some data
Okay.
warehouses built up on the zero, that nothing but overriding the data. Some data warehouses built up on using the adding a row. Some data warehouses using the adding a column entirely. So these are the different cases. Based on the data warehouse technique, they will be following.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, something wrong here. Cluster is not there. Okay, anyway. Okay. I didn't do anything. Some clusters had some issues. Okay, anyway. And we will see one more. Now, so now see here. What is the problem here is that you can do that. So you can take this as an assignment and do it that. So for the employee and country also here, I don't want this employee country to be the India. For all wherever it is IN, India, it is should be IN. Okay, I want you guys to achieve it. Okay, so some cluster issues. Okay, wherever it is India, try to get it as a IN. Okay, so that's one thing. Let me try running it. If it is still running or some error. Okay, so I may have to run it one by one, guys. Restart the kernel. Not sure why it is not running. Rerun the whole notebook. Okay. Okay, it will run one by one. One more thing also I can do. So for example, if I wanted to test it, I will add one more record because I have added unknown, right? So if it is taking care of it or not, I can test it. So I can add one more record where it is 5 and it is Samantha, and it does not know the guy should be mentioned female, but he mentioned only female. So the spelling of the female is wrong, and the salary is something like 5,500. Okay, so if I rerun it, see if the pipeline is running, what will happen? You can able to see all the things are run successfully, right? If the pipeline is running, you can see here. See here, it came it as unknown. So you don't need to manage you just have to manage your code. If you manage your code, data will be automatically managed. See here, earlier we do not have a male and female. We only have a male and female. And now it automatically, when it is not female, automatically take as unknown because the spelling is wrong. The female spelling is wrong here, so that's the reason. So that kind of a things may happen, and you have to check it. So if somewhere it is unknown, you have to check it why it is unknown, and you may have to look at your data and the spelling was wrong, but you have to manage it. Even though it is a some starting with f only, you should wanted to mention it as a female only. Such kind of a techniques also you may have to do it. Okay. And one more thing is that the client asked, he don't wanted to see the names in this order. He wanted to see the names in a proper order, maybe in a alphabetical order. Okay, so that's the requirement. He wanted to see the column names, employee names as a alphabetical order. Okay, for that one, how do we do that in the SQL? How do we do that in SQL, sir? Right. So you can, here also we can use that. Either you can use sort or order by. Anything can be used. I'm gonna tell you now. So I wanted df6 is equal to df5 dot. I can use order by. And on which column you wanted to do it? Employee name. So df5 dot employee name dot descending. Descending is a function. Okay. And now you look at the data. df6 dot show. The cluster is having some issues, guys. I'm not sure why. Unable to connect it to the server. And to connect to Java server. I'm not sure why it is not. Okay, let's see that. If it's not working out, we will stop here the session. Anyway, it's time. And but this is how you can do it. It is sorting. If you wanted to sort based on some column or multiple columns, you can do that. Sir, I have a multiple columns. I wanted to sort it. Of course, you can do that. Okay, df5 is not defined because I'm going to stop it here, guys. So, anyway, I'm going to rerun it all the entire set so that we will be able to see here sorted. The only read operation takes time. Once the data is read to the pyspark, it will be very fast. Okay. Kernel itself, it is facing any issues. Okay. Anyway, we will see it tomorrow, guys. Okay. So seems like some issues with the cluster, and we will see it tomorrow. Okay. Yep. Okay, guys. Yeah. Any questions, anyone? Yes, Nagaraj. You can actually go to public documentation, PySpark, SQL, public document PySpark. You can go to Spark and you can look at the PySpark. You will be having all the documents will be proper. Okay. And many platforms are also there. Spark, it's a PySpark. You have it here. Okay, somewhere Spark streaming now. Okay, here it is. Okay, you have a Spark session. As I was telling you how to create a data frame And if you wanted to do the transformations, reading all of these functions and schemas, formatting, save, order by, all of those things, appending, overwriting, plenty of the things are there, dropping, filtering. So you can able to do all of these things. Okay, we have seen that with the column renamed. So all of these functions are here. Okay, like we will also be seeing few of the functions from here commonly used. So data types, so we may not be knowing, right? So string, all of these things, string type we have used. So all of these data types are here. Functions, the window functions like as we know, range, partition, grouping, min, max, average. All of these are here. You can actually look at this documentation. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Mhm. You can use Google Cloud Storage. Yeah, Google Cloud Storage is a very, because once a cluster is created, HDFS will be deleted. Okay, once the HDFS deleted, the data in the HDFS will also be deleted. So don't use the HDFS when you wanted to do the transformations. Don't store the data in the HDFS because it's a cluster. It's a managed cluster. When we do not know when the cluster gets deleted, when who is deleting the cluster. So always store the data in the GCS. GCS is very cheap, and one more thing is that your data is available all the time. Object storage and file storage both the same. Okay. Object is nothing but a file only. Right? I have told you that sort. If you want to store some files, so yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions, guys? Yeah. Okay. Fine. Today, guys. Thank you all.